Welcome back to Insights to Opportunities. I'm your host, Carlicia Wright, Director of the Mayor's Office of Business Opportunity. Earlier today, we talked to the President and CEO of HPDI, one of the best-kept secrets in Houston. Well, we found someone who knew about the secret, Alan Bergeron, a franchise owner who owns Denny's and 2 Shipley Donuts here in Houston. Thank you so much, Alan, for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, Alan, can you talk about a little bit about the services that HPDI helped you with and helped your company with?
Yes, actually, I was a startup, and I was looking for funding to open up my first Shipley Donut shop. I'd located a place, and I was going to build a building. I was going to have to buy equipment and everything else. But as a startup, the banks were hesitant to look to me for that type of assistance. So what Marlon Mitchell's group did at HBDI is they provided secondary funding. It was a tandem loan with Unity National Bank. Unity provided the funding for the purchase of the land and the construction of the building. And what HBDI did was provide the funding for the equipment and the signage. Now what that did is that allowed the SBA, who was insuring part of that loan, to kind of look at what HPDI was doing, sort of like equity that I was putting into it because of what their relationship with the bank and how they were going to be guaranteeing part of that loan. So although I did have to come up with some of the money myself, I didn't have to do as much on my end as far as personal financing.
No, that's really great. It sounds like without the HPDI that you might not have been able to start this franchise.
Oh, absolutely, because what they did is they took a second lien position behind the bank, and that made the bank more comfortable in loaning the money. So it worked out really well for me.
So let's talk a little bit about your franchises and how you got into the business and how you knew you were going to be a franchisee of Shipley Donuts and Denny's. Tell us a little bit about the history.
Well, actually, I have a degree in business, and when I was in school, I never had the idea that I would be a business owner. I thought I was going to go and work for some large corporation, work my way up the ladder, and then retire on a pension one day. The bug hit me somewhere deep into that journey, and I decided I wanted to own my own business. I was a pharmaceutical salesman, and part of my territory was Galveston. I was driving around thinking that one day, there are going to be bigger businesses here in Galveston. What could work, and what should I look into doing? And something hit me about a Shipley Donut shop. I had no restaurant experience. I felt it was something that I could learn. I was not going to inherit anything. I wasn't an apprentice in a print shop or anything of that nature. And so I started pursuing the Shipley Donuts, thinking that it was something that I could start in the restaurant industry at the ground floor and then work my way up. So that, in a nutshell, that's how it got started for me. I decided to Shipley Donuts as opposed to Alan Bergeron Donuts because I had no experience. Plus, I needed someone to help guide me through what it took to own a business, and franchises do that for the most part. They provide you with the recipes, the techniques, the trademark, and the recognition that's needed for someone to place a business in an area and to attract people to come into it.
Now, Alan, you make it sound so easy to, to start a business, to start a franchise and run a franchise. Can you talk about some of the challenges or unique challenges that a franchisee might have and some of the things that you've, I guess, overcome in time?
Sure. I think sometimes owning a franchise has some misnomers connected with it. You still own a business. I'm responsible for the payroll, for taxes, for making sure all the bills are paid, and operating a small business just as anyone else. It just so happens that with a franchise, I have to pay a fee for the use of the name and the trademarks and recipes that go along with it. Whether it's Shipley Donuts, Denny's, or some McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, if you walk into a McDonald's and order a Big Mac, for example, in Houston, it's got to be the same in Bangor, Maine. And so there is a commitment that the company makes for the consistency. And so I have to be aware of that every day that we're in operation. We can't deviate from that. But that's what the customer expects. And so I don't know if I'd call it so much of a challenge as opposed to just what is required of me as a franchisee.
Now, Alan, you're not just a successful franchise owner, you're a successful certified company. And so most companies out there, business owners that own similar businesses to yours, they don't normally think of the city as a place to get certified. So can you talk about the value of certification and why you're certified with the city?
Actually, my certification came almost by accident. I was approached to deliver donuts to University of Houston. One of my donut shops is across the street from University of Houston, and the gentleman who was the general manager for Aramark at that time came into the shop and said, "Hey, we want to do some business with some local folks. Would you be willing to deliver donuts?" And so within a week, I bought a van and bought some racks, and we started delivering donuts to some location, University of Houston. University of Houston, of course, is a state-run institution, and it was of value to Aramark that I was a certified DBE. And so I started my process back then. So, and then I started delivering to other institutions at the time and currently. Also, I have a donut shop in Bush Intercontinental Airport, and the city requires that there is minority participation or DBE participation at the airport system, and it became of value to the concessionaire that they do business with vendors like myself that was certified.
So can you talk a little bit about your experience? Have you feel successful? I mean, working at an airport, it's different. It's got its own nuances. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yes, I always said that the airport, doing business in the airport is a completely different world than it is on the street. Just simple things like you don't have to worry about cleaning restrooms. You don't have to worry about security. You don't have to worry about getting robbed because it's, that's not going to happen behind the security field. But you also have to be concerned that all of your employees have to pass an FBI background check, and the airport isn't close, and so therefore you may have to provide parking. Typically, the employees at the airport make a little bit more money than they do on the street also.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's our show today. Please join us next time to learn more about the opportunities with the City of Houston and other government agencies on Insights to Opportunities. I'm your host, Carlicia Wright, Director of the Mayor's Office of Business Opportunity.